We did the best racers, and now it's time for the worst racers of Season 7 in Disney Speedstorm. And let me tell you guys, there is a lot of bad characters this season. Normally, Disney Speedstorm is a pretty balanced game, and while some racers tend to dominate, pretty much even the worst racers are usable in some situations. But with the recent changes to crew members and how incredibly important top speed is now, if you're a character with a really low top speed and bad ability, you're practically unplayable. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of these characters and go over the 5 worst in Disney Speedstorm Season 7. And just a quick disclaimer, this video is 100% my opinion, and I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts, so be sure to comment that below. But kicking things off at number 5, we have Mickey Mouse himself, the big cheese, the mascot of Disney Speedstorm and of Disney in general. Mickey Mouse, he's not great. Looking at his ranking for top speed, he has the 42nd rank of top speed, which is pretty bad. He's almost in the bottom 10, and anyone with that low of top speed, to keep them out of the F tier and the worst 5 characters in the game, they really need an ability or some aspect of their kit that can make them a lot better, and Mickey just unfortunately doesn't have that. For those who don't know, his unique skill Trailblazer, what it essentially does is spawn like a trail of music notes behind him. The normal activation just does that, and then the charged activation does the same thing, and it also makes him immune. And the fact that Mickey cannot use his manual boost while his ability is active pretty much means that while he uses this skill and he leaves the trail of musical notes while boosting him, it's pretty much just an invitation for anyone to drive up behind him and pass him, because he has, again, the 42nd worst top speed in the game, so he's relatively slow. Pretty much anyone can pass him. He can't use his manual boost while his ability is active, and while yes, he does get a little bit of a speed boost, anyone behind him is getting the exact same speed boost, which means it's just an invitation for him to get past. And like the rest of his kit is fine. I am a big fan of Rush Speedsters, and he has shield and some decent offensive tools, but overall it's just not nearly enough to save him. And really what brings him down again is his top speed and his unique skill not being able to help him, and the fact that he is in the speedster class as well. It really just slows him down, and it's really a sign of what's to come in this video. The whole Mickey and Friends collection is really just struggling this season for the most part. But let's move on to the number 4 racer. Coming in at the 4th worst racer in Disney Speedstorm, we have Minnie Mouse. Now immediately, again, the most important thing this season, top speed. Minnie has the 49th worst top speed in the game. That's right, there are only 4 characters, I believe, that have a worse top speed than her currently, which is not a position you want to be in this season. I believe she did get a top speed buff, but clearly it wasn't enough, because her being this low just really sucks, and pretty much anyone can pass you. Like, having a top speed this low means you're at an automatic disadvantage when the race begins, and you need to work extra hard just to stay at the same speed of other racers who have a higher top speed, and her kit really isn't going to help her do that a lot. Her helper's aura is exactly what it says. It helps the enemies. Like, yes, it's nice that you get a shield and a speed boost, or just a speed boost depending on whether you use the normal or charged activation, but it's not nearly enough to save her, because much like Mickey, it's kind of just an invitation to pass her. You're giving everyone else a shield and a speed boost near you, and they're probably going to have a higher top speed than you unless they're one of the other 4 characters, and she's just gonna get passed really quickly. On top of that, she's a mid-season character that has her shards given out very scarcely, so it's going to be especially hard to level her up, and with the crew member changes, her top speed just isn't going to get anywhere near the top at all. Like, she's so incredibly slow, and her ability is just really easy for people to pass you when they actually get touched by it. If you can somehow find yourself in a position where you're in first place and you're far enough away from the other racers to use her unique ability without anyone else getting the benefits of it, then yes, she can be alright. But if you fall behind at all, it's going to be really hard to catch up, because anyone you're trying to pass is going to get the same benefits that you were getting, which is going to happen a lot because it's really hard to stay in first when you have that low of a top speed. And that's why Minnie Mouse just finds herself in the 4th place slot. But moving on to number 3, the 3rd worst racer in Disney Speedstorm, we have Minnie Mouse's sort of counterpart, Daisy Duck. That's right, another Mickey and Friends racer. They are really taking the heat this season. But I mean, Daisy has the 47th worst top speed in Disney Speedstorm. She's only ever so slightly faster than Minnie Mouse, and she's slow. She's slow. That's the only way to put it. Top speed is so incredibly important, and when you're in 47th place, you're gonna struggle a lot. It's going to be really hard to pass people. Now, she doesn't have the same negative downside of Mickey and Minnie, where people benefit from her unique skill, but her unique skill is just really bad. It's essentially a worse version of Donald's unique ability, which already is a pretty lackluster ability. It's like a shield power-up that will turn into a red shield power-up once you do get stunned. Which just isn't great. It's not a good power-up. It's not going to help you. It's meant to be like a sort of gatekeeping skill, and I really like the idea of both Donald's and Daisy's skill, where you can be in first and you can use their skill, and then when you get stunned, it's going to be hard for people to pass you, but it's hard to get in a position where her skill is actually useful simply because her top speed is so low. Daisy's also a trickster, so the skill doesn't, work with her kit quite as well, and then the rest of her kit is just kind of lackluster. She has the shot power up as her primary, and then cloak is nice, but hack and rush, it's not a great kit, but her ability combined with her top speed just isn't great, and I think Mickey and Minnie do take the edge over Daisy simply because their top speed can actually, or they're not their top speed, their unique ability can actually help them out by giving them a boost, which they so desperately need because all of their top speeds are so low, whereas Daisy's doesn't really do that. It's more of a stun focused ability, which isn't helping her because she's a trickster, and it's not a great ability in my opinion, and that's why she takes 3rd place as the 3rd worst racer in Disney Speedstorm. Moving on up to number 2, we have a new racer from the Wreck-It Ralph collection. That's right, with a heavy heart. Unfortunately, I do believe King Candy is the 2nd worst racer in Disney Speedstorm. Now, I will say, take this placement especially with a grain of salt, because King Candy is a very new character, and this is a very early placement and a very, quick decision to make, but I really do believe that it's not looking good for him, and I think he's the 2nd worst character in the game, and his top speed reflects that, with him having the 52nd worst out of 53 racers in the top speed category, which just means he's horribly slow. His boost stat and acceleration and handling stats are all pretty nice. If he's a high enough level, he's going to be able to boost the entire game, which I think is a positive strength, but it's not enough. Pretty much every trickster can do that if they're a high enough level, and so King Candy isn't special in that regard, and even if you're boosting the entire game, it's not enough to make up for having the 52nd worst top speed in the game. And on top of that, his unique ability just isn't great. It's kind of like a slightly better version of Mulan's unique, in my opinion. He has these sort of rockets that he shoots out in front of him, just like Mulan, except these ones actually home in on targets, which is pretty good, and I think it is an improvement over Mulan's unique ability. And then his charge skill, he summons the big candy ball behind him, which will stun opponents on contact, though it seems a little broken right now, but even if it did work normally, it is essentially just a better version of Mulan's unique ability. But Mulan's unique ability was never good. It was already a pretty poor unique ability, and Mulan has generally been considered one of the worst racers in the game pretty much since Season 1. The only reason why she escapes the top 5 this season is because her top speed is actually ranked number 36, which doesn't mean she's good. It's still in the bottom half of characters, but being, 10 placements or more above King Candy, like nearly 15 placements, I think, is definitely going to improve her rankings a lot. Whereas King Candy, even though his unique ability on paper is an improvement over Mulan's, the fact that his top speed is that much lower, literally the 2nd worst in the game, just means that he's too slow, and his unique ability, again, it's okay. It's just like, it's not going to help protect him. He doesn't have immunity. It's just going to stun people, which is, it's fine, but it's not good enough to carry him out of the second worst placement in my opinion. And then like his primary skill is Bomb, which just sucks. It's good that he has Cloak at a pretty high level. And then Fire and Rush are okay. It's an okay kit. Like his abilities aren't necessarily the problem. He could easily scratch his way up to C tier. Like it's a fine kit. It's like a C tier level kit in my opinion, but his top speed definitely brings him down to the F tier in my opinion. Now, before we get to the number one character, I do want to go over some honorable mentions, starting things off with Hortensia. I hate Hortensia, as many of you guys know. I really dislike playing her, but simply the fact that her top speed is ranked number 37th, and the fact that her ability gives her some defensive capabilities keeps her out of the bottom 5 this season in my opinion, but she's definitely easily bottom 10. I also want to give a shout out to Eve, very similar top speed to Hortensia. It's only 3 points higher, I believe, and she's not great. Very similar to Hortensia in terms of speed and just a lackluster kit. It'd be a lot better if she was a brawler. I don't know. I don't enjoy playing as Eve. I also want to give a shout out to Meg. Meg has the fourth worst top speed in the game, but I think her ability, giving her so much boost and staying immune, does barely scratch her out of the bottom 5. She's definitely bottom 10 though. I think same thing with Mike. Mike has the third worst top speed in the game, and so he's definitely down there, but I think his doors are definitely still a powerful ability despite how easy they are to destroy, so I think he stays out of the bottom 5 as well. But finally, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, who I believe is the absolute worst racer in Disney Speedstorm this season, it's Donald Duck. That's right, another Mickey and Friends character. This collection is really not good this season. 4 out of the 7 racers are in the bottom 5. Luckily, the other 3 are actually pretty decent. Steamboat Mickey, Pete, and Goofy are all decent characters simply because their top speeds are so high, but like Donald is 53rd out of 53rd racers in the top speed category. He has the lowest top speed in the game by over 100 points at regulated level 30, which just sucks. It's really bad. Donald's top speed is not good. He is so incredibly slow. If you fall behind, it is going to be near impossible to catch up. And it's not like he's a trickster that can boost the entire game. He is a brawler, so it's going to be hard to maintain his boost stat. And yes, while it is decent, simply just drifting and hitting boost pads isn't going to maintain your boost. You need to stun people. And if you fall behind, if you get behind anyone for a minute, you are essentially going to have no way to catch up because his unique skill's not going to help you, his boost power-up's not really going to help you, his bomb, fire, and cloak, none of that is going to help you catch up. Donald Duck's kit is built around gatekeeping, and I will say it does its job quite effectively. If Donald Duck can get into first place, he can use a combination of side bashing, fire, cloak to keep him safe, bomb to stun more people, his unique skill to either stun people or keep him safe and stun people. He can pretty much just control the racetrack when he's in first place. However, if anyone has cloak or something, they can easily pass on by him using just one defensive ability, and then it's going to be nearly impossible for Donald Duck to catch up after that because his top speed is simply so low. And after the crew member changes in the game, his top speed is only like essentially getting lower while everyone else's gets higher, and the gap just widens, making Donald Duck, in my opinion, the worst character in Disney Speedstorm. He's definitely playable in some scenarios, but like having such a low top speed really hurts you guys. Like it's super hard to play as him. You need to play almost perfectly and not letting people pass you. And again, all it takes is, one Ariel having a cloak skill and she can just go right on by and you will never ever see her again when playing as Donald Duck. And that's why I believe he is the worst character in Speedstorm. But let me know, what do you guys think of my list? Who are your worst characters this season? With the new top speed and crew member changes, it's definitely really important to have a high top speed more than ever. And a lot of these lightweight characters, especially the Mickey and Friends collection, who don't have the greatest unique skills and really terrible top speeds, I think are genuinely some of the worst characters in Disney Speedstorm history right now. So hopefully Gameloft will make some changes to make lightweights more viable, because even characters like Elizabeth Swan, who have incredible abilities and incredible stat pools, some of the highest stat totals in the game, simply because their top speed is low and they're on the lightweight side. They cannot find themselves above C tier, in my opinion, this season. And I think that is a big issue that needs to be addressed. So let me know your guys' take on it, your 5 worst racers, and I will catch you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to leave a like and subscribe. Peace out, everyone.